Alright, so picking up where we left off. So really what I did was just printed a tree of Gondor and then plopped it down on a piece of aluminum and then covered it with some packaging tape and then just took some of the smaller attachments on my Dremel and started drawing over it. The stars, I realized I wasn't going to be able to get that caliber of detail, so I just went for circles or balls, and then the rest of it I use the really thin diamond tip just to cover all those other lines and stuff. And one of the things that this sort of helped me realize is that it's a fairly symmetrical picture. It's just that there are some very specific lines that I have to hit, and if it's not traced properly via the Dremel, then it's going to look a little lopsided. I don't know if you can tell here, but it looks a little lopsided to me, so my solution was to be a little bit more symmetrical with it and use the little ball attachment that I used to do the stars, do some of the major points so that I could more or less just sort of connect the dots when I did it on the real piece, because I was going to do it on the actual powder coated spine, and I didn't obviously want to screw it up, so I wanted to get it as precise as possible so that it would have a nice silver look over the dirty white. Um, and for the most part, I think it turned out really well. It's just if the balls are kind of obvious, so it looks like fruit on the tree or like ornaments on a tree or something like that. But for the most part, I think it turned out pretty well. At least if you're more than like a foot away from it, then you can't really tell. But and I can tell, and the new owner is going to be able to tell, and he'll tease me about it. Better not, Ryan. But yeah, so that's what it looked like, and I think it turned out really well. Again, I just want to point out that you can see how dark that older rubber was when it wasn't dirtied with the aluminum powder wash. So that's another reason why I swapped it out, because there was just a little too much contrast. Looks nice though. Alright, so this is the new one, and it went a lot better. This is the regular rubber that I used for Minas Tirith, or excuse me, Minas Morgul, and the rapier, but the aluminum powder, or excuse me, the rubber, while it's still warm after I heat shrink it, it's still a little bit porous. So once it's cooling, that's when I start rubbing the aluminum powder all over it so that it stays in the cracks, and then it'll cool even further and it'll more or less lock it in. Uh, but again, this is a lot better results because you can actually see the individual lines on the wings, and the edges of the aluminum tape are really standing out now. So, and it's a little lighter. It's a little bit more gray. It blends a lot better. It's not just dirty white, jet black, dirty white, dirty white. So now it's got that nice kind of gray in the middle, so that it does look a little bit more blended overall. Start of the Elven Blade. So this was extra 3/4 inch, or excuse me, 7/8 inch blade that I had sitting around, and again, just a test piece. Same thing as before. I took the Elvish and printed it out, cut it into a strip, and then laid it down on the blade with some packaging tape, and then used that small attachment on the Dremel, the diamond tip, and just wrote over the Elvish. This was the real piece. I don't have a picture of what the test piece looked like, but it went well. So I went directly to the real piece. This is what it looks like after I drew it all in, which kind of looks cool. And then once you clean it up, because there's all those little filaments and stuff that are stuck on it, you gotta go through with like your fingernail, scrape it all off, and there was a lot of cleanup work, but I think it ended up looking really, really good. And with the silver behind it of the polypropylene film, then it made it stand out a little bit more. So I didn't show pictures of the install on Minas Morgul, but I decided I'd take a couple of here, and you can see it's just a couple of tactile switches that are smashed together, and then I think I used double stick tape to hold them down. So this was a V6, I think. No, this is a V5. Yeah, V5. Yeah, the speaker and the recharge port are in the pommel, and I just use those quick disconnects to connect it. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, looks good. You can't tell, well, I guess maybe you can tell. There is a little bit of insulation right there, so don't think that I just crammed a CF in there that's touching up against the metal sides and whatnot, but it is insulated. And that's what it looks like when it's done, sitting on my ottoman. So I think it turned out really well. Overall, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, and hopefully the new owner, I haven't given it to him yet, but hopefully he'll like it just as much as I do. I like it because it's kind of a culmination of what I learned in the process of making Minas Morgul and pretty much every other lightsaber that I've made up until this point. I wish I had taken a picture of this. There's the kill key. It's a silver thing with again, another matching blue jewel on it, but the recharge port actually functions as a recharge port, and the instructions that I gave him said, yeah, you can use one or you can use both as far as the kill features. That and the power switch. Either way works, or both works. I really like how that turned out because you can see the straight lines and you can see the spacing, and honestly I think it just turned out so well. These lines right here not so much, just because they're a little bit closer together and the rubber didn't sink down into it, but again, very happy with how it turned out. Same thing with the pommel. These are a little bit less accentuated, but yeah, it's there, and it's just subtle enough so that your eyes go to the bigger wing, but you notice that there's one down here too, and then capped off with the nice marbling effect on the pommel. Pretty. Couple of lit pictures. Blade looks good. This is what it looks like on. This is what it looks like off. This is what it looks like on. This is what it looks like off. This one is white, specifically white because of, you know, Gondorian. It's not been desiccated by the orcs and stuff, so there's no need for it to be dirty and whatnot. This is supposed to symbolize the purity and the, you know, the honor of Gondor. You can see a little bit of the Elvish in there, but just on the edges of the blade, but otherwise it still looks good. And that's what the recipient is gonna get. That's what it all looks like all put together. So yeah, hope you liked it, and probably do a couple more of these, not necessarily specifically Lord of the Rings projects or anything, but more so the documenting and the cataloging of the entire build process and whatnot, because it's been pretty fun. So that's all I got, and we'll see you guys next time.